Usually, a country honors and respects its military, the very group of men and women who were brave enough to go to war to defend it. Seydou Touré gave his country, Côte d'Ivoire, 25, almost 26 years of his life. He served as an aircraft mechanic in the Air Force. But towards the end of his career, his country failed to protect him. You see, Côte d'Ivoire suffers a deep divide exacerbated by its government that pits the southern Christian population against the northern Muslim population. This divide has played out in the form of militant groups kidnapping, beating, and torturing innocent fellow Ivorians every day. In 4.5 years' time, Mr. Touré and his family were subjected to persecution for no other reason than being a part of the northern Muslim population of Côte d'Ivoire. His first brush with persecution was in 1998, after 22 years of service in the Air Force. While at work, he was reading an opposition newspaper, which caused him to be thrown in jail for 15 days. He wasn't beaten or mistreated, but the psychological impact of being in jail, even for just 2 weeks, took a toll on Mr. Touré. Less than 3 years later, in early 2001, Mr. Touré was arrested along with 14 other men, 12 of which who were also from the northern part of the country. He was subjected to beatings over the course of 2 days, all because his captors suspected he abetted a failed coup d'etat. The beating was so severe it left lasting physical damage. The scar on Mr. Touré's forehead remains as a painful reminder that his country failed to protect him. A few months after his 48-hour nightmare, Mr. Touré was granted a 10-month sabbatical in the United States. He spent that time here in the US taking in the sights, relaxing, trying to take a break from constantly looking over his shoulder and fearing for his life. He returned to his country in August of 2002, only to have his home and his belongings thrown around like trash in October of that very same year. While Mr. Touré was out participating in a neighborhood security meeting, armed vandals in military uniforms busted down his front door, terrifying his children, grabbing and tossing all of the personal items he worked so hard for, and finally abducting his wife. She was held overnight, beaten, and released in the morning. Mrs. Touré told her husband her captors again accused them of selling secrets. Mr. Touré is here today to respectfully ask that Your Honor grant him reprieve and relief from being sent back to a country that encourages the southern population to terrorize northerners like himself for simply practicing a different religion and being of a darker skin tone.